Good afternoon and welcome to the Weekend Funcast. Adam Shelfer and Russ Thomas.
How you doing?
Russell Mania.
That's right. How are you doing, Ed? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It really does. Say no more. I get it. I'm just going to be up front. If you watched the news last night at 10 p.m., and I don't know why you wouldn't, you might have noticed that my voice was cracking quite a bit. I've got kind of on the very tail end of a head cold, and what's happening is when I project my voice, it starts to sound terrible. Like it goes high, all of a sudden I'm whispering words. So I found that by the lower, if I really try to lower things, it seems to stay intact, so that's what I'm shooting for here. But if all of a sudden you can't hear me anymore, Adam will fill in all the words that I'm saying.
I'll just translate.
That's right. But I'm going to do this to see if he can guess what I'm saying.
So, Russ, it's a great time to be alive, my friend. It's the best time of year. We got a lot of football to talk about. We got a lot of weather to talk about. We got some football weather to talk about. Love UND homecoming as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this it's so funny because the type of season, for me, this time of season, I should say, is usually pretty sports driven. I'm a big college football fan, have been for so long. Grew up in the Southeast, I grew up in the Atlanta area. You can't not be a college football fan, or you get beat up. But either way, let's see here. That's not really true. I didn't get beat up a lot. But anyway,
too quick. Too quick to catch. He always ran away.
I know exactly. I was spunky. I was deceptive in my speech. But no. So for me, when I started looking at a forecast and pointing out things for the weekends, I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed here. Almost always you've either got a home game for North Dakota State or a home game for UND, sometimes both. Of course, next week, big game as they're playing each other in Fargo. But in the meantime, homecoming for North Dakota tomorrow. By the way, Fargo Force. Tonight starting. So actually
home opener,
Exactly. I do want to ask you, I always like to check before you get going. Now, you haven't mentioned this, so I don't know. Did you have a game, football?
I did. Flag football. We lost in double overtime. It's a rough year.
It has been.
We've lost almost every game by one touchdown.
Yeah.
And we're heading into the playoffs with just one win. But it's the weirdest thing because almost every game except there is one that we and I wasn't there that week.
Okay, well,
from what I heard,
probably
and that's why. But apart from that, we've lost to the best teams in the league, but it's always by just the narrowest of margins, taking teams to overtime, stuff like that. But
so I think what I'm hearing is this. I totally cut you off, and I apologize. I just want to say that even a 1 and maybe 3-4 loss team, 1-3, 1-4. What I'm hearing
1-5. Who's counting?
1-5. But what I have heard is every single time you mention a loss, it was either freak sort of play in the last play, losing in overtime, and you're losing to good teams. Sounds to me like you guys could make a little run.
Yeah.
And yes.
Not to brag or anything, but I did win an intramural flag football championship in college.
Nice.
And we actually came in as the 7th seed out of 8 teams.
Wow.
And we, things happen.
Elevated yourself.
Yeah, and so it's in the scientific community they call it the clutch chromosome. And so it's just a matter if you have that or if you don't. Some people have that extra gear for the playoffs.
Yes. I apologize. This is the first time this has happened. Typically, it's just been the voice going all over the place. Now I'm coughing.
It's because I'm making you laugh. Yeah.
Quit being funny. No, you're right. So you are kind of much like here at the station is Adam's clutch. Whenever it's going down, whenever we're on the ropes or whatever for anything, and we just call him Adam, and Adam's just bam, and all of a sudden we've scored.
It's because I'm the best flag football player here.
Right. You haven't seen me play, but if you had, you'd say I'm the best flag football player here, because I'm not. I'm old.
We'll see about that.
I can catch anything. I just can't run anymore. I mean, if it's a half marathon, if you're not timing me,
maybe we can make the football field 13.1 miles long, and you'd have an advantage.
I used to tell the guys in my softball team, this has just been the last few years, they would make fun of me because I'm the slowest person ever to get out of the box. Like, I'll get a good base hit between short and third, and they could almost throw me out at first base, and it's because I swing and I'm watching, like, look at that, think of it. And then, I got to run, and it takes me, I look like, who is it when it's like, oh gosh, like Charlie Brown or something like that. Where
Oh,
feet are
sure,
moving
yeah, like
forever,
the
and I
Scooby-Doo
finally-
thing too, yeah.
And then I finally, once I get going though, but I tell the guys on the team, listen, if first base were 13.1 miles away, I would beat all you guys.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You could do the little, Sammy Sosa hop. He would swing and do that little hop.
Right,
Work that
exactly.
into your-
Yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
that. You're right about that. But yeah, so with that in mind, I was going to say, just so much going on this week and exciting. And I'm sorry about I was going to keep saying fantasy football, flag football lost.
Reality football.
But I think you guys are going into, that was funny. You guys are going into the playoffs, and I think you're going to be in great shape for that.
Sounds great. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I might retire. Russ. We'll see.
Again?
Yeah.
I'm going to turn off my phone. Just dinged. I'm going to turn that off. This is what happens in a show like this. I'm just leaving phones on. I'm just willy-nilly, whatever's going on.
Well, we got the Shanley Deacons and the Cheyenne Mustangs tonight. We also got Detroit Lakes hosting Morris area, so some really good Friday night football. Devin Fry keeping it checked. I love his game plan. I'm not going to reveal his game plan, but he's got a great game plan behind the scenes, bringing some great coverage. As far as the weather coverage, what can we expect?
Another great. It's funny because we kind of move through these Fridays over the course of September, and obviously as we get kind of deeper there into October toward playoff season, it's going to be cold, right? But we've had some great Friday nights. We've got another great Friday night. In fact, let's go ahead and very similar to what we've seen a lot of recently. I'll get out of the way here. Looks like great weather. It's good out there, not just average. It's going to be good out there. Kickoff in the 70s, sunny, just kind of basically what it is right now. Maybe a couple degrees cooler. We'll finish off in the 60s. And again, one of those things, it's like, do you bring the jacket out? When does that start happening for Friday Night Football? And the answer is, it's going to be at least another week, if not two. I will say that next week will be a little bit cooler, but still looking good. But anyway, we're not focused on that right now. Right now, we are focused on this. Also, we kind of touched on this, and I know if you're going to the Fargo Forest game, by the way, first home game of the season, if you're going there tonight, we're like, well, Russ, I'm going to be indoors. And I know that, but here's what's going on. Say you're heading out to the event out there tonight, and what we're going to find is 74 degrees, nice sunshine leading up to it. While you're inside chilly, we've got 68 right around. It's 8 o'clock. I'm sorry. I was looking and focusing on that and going, what's going on? But that's actually just means there's a calm wind out there. 65. So when you're kind of heading out there around 9:30, 10 o'clock, 63. Still going to feel great. Last year, Adam, I went to all of one Fargo Force games. We had a nice little event here at Valley News Live. Went out there, and it was, I believe, in January or early February. I can tell you it did not feel like this or this
No.
when I was going in it. And in fact, my wife and I, we were just completely bundled up. But it was a lot of fun, though. I mean, a great environment, a great atmosphere.
And this will be a really fun game. They're playing the United States National Development Team.
Yes.
And so that's always a fun matchup, and I know people love to. It's one of those things, even if the Force lose, USA wins.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. Yeah. So no matter what, I mean, you're going to see a win out there tonight, no matter what. I'd bring I'd bring the Force jersey, right, with an American flag.
Yeah, because then you're kind of hedging your bets
exactly,
at that point.
Exactly, right? So. Right. All right. So with that in mind, I think that's great. It should be a good time. Now we talked about homecoming tomorrow.
Who made this graphic? This is amazing.
Well, it's a true story. I don't know who made it. There's always a good chance in my mind that it's just summer.
Well, because it looked like the Alara Center in the background.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Summer makes all the good graphics.
Wow.
Well, not all. I shouldn't say that. Lisa does a good job as well. I'm a numbers guy, so I just
The details are just unbelievable. Look, this is literally a Prius here.
It is a Prius,
like
yes.
down to the detail of not just like it's real car models, not just like model cars.
Yeah. It reminds me of a...
Wow. What's this one right here, Russ?
LG
2000?
I don't even know. I will say this, though. Reminds me of a line, and I don't know if do you watch Yellowstone?
No.
Or these two people went at it. Actually, it was Beth and some other girl, like punching each other. And the next day, the girl said to Beth, the character, you hit like a Mack truck, and Beth said, you hit like a Prius. So I thought that was just a funny line.
Oh, man.
But as you know, Yellowstone, one of the funniest shows out there. So anyway, the weather is going to be great. Tomorrow we got Terry. Again, so they're playing Murray State. I know what you're thinking. We know the Racers. They make the NCAA tournament every year. But what do we know about the Murray State Racers football team? I have no idea.
Yeah, John Morant's not walking through that tunnel.
Exactly. So kickoff at 1. I think very nice tailgating weather tomorrow. It's going to be sunny. Going to be kind of mild right off the bat. So we're at 59, 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 69 at noon. So you're getting ready there. Now you're all, whatever you are before you head into the game, and your level of tolerance, whatever that is, 74. Then you go into the game and you're crazy, you're excited. The North Dakota. I know they're going to win. I was there a couple weeks ago when they played Montana. The atmosphere is amazing, and there's no way they're not going to win.
Careful how you talk there. You can't say you know. You never know.
That's a good point.
It's just one of those things where we thought. You said you knew that the Falcons were going to lose. Look what happened to you.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago.
I need to stop knowing stuff. I think that's the big. I always tell people I am ultra consistent sometimes. And I feel like, no, I feel good. I feel good about this matchup. Now, I'll grant you this. I have no idea how good Murray State's football team is. I know they're fast. They're the Racers. But, the environment, again, this is something I do know. So, okay, how about this? You're right. I think 95% chance that North Dakota takes the game. They look good.
I think 94% chance, Russ.
So?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Price is Right. You're taking the under.
No, I do think that
there's a 1%.
UND is really good this year. I think that, and they're so hard to beat. No matter what at the Alara Center, I do think that they're going to take care of business.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So we kind of got the sports stuff out of the way, right? In other words, we've got that's kind of our sports weather. Once we get into, let's just look at our weekend forecast. And what we continue to see is temperatures so far above the norm. So our average high is about 66 degrees. Fargo today. You look around other areas here, because Fargo is usually, really along with Grand Forks, right there in the River Valley, two of our warmest spots on a daily basis, average-wise. What we're going to find is 85, 82, 86, 87 for those two locations. These numbers are about, again, 15, 18, 20 degrees above the normal, or more depending on where you're located. Plenty of sunshine Saturday. We have a few clouds on Sunday. Later in the day, we'll go kind of from sunny throughout most of the day to maybe partly cloudy late in the day. We have a front approaching. But I mean, these high temperatures right here, these numbers, especially on Sunday. 88 Jamestown, it was 89 yesterday. 87 as mentioned in Grand Forks. Close to, not quite hitting, but close to records for this time of year. So if you're
I was going to say, it is pretty hot, but I'm happy it's not in the 90s anymore.
Right, yeah, me too. And it's kind of one of those deals where I know a lot of people are saying, and I feel the same. Hey, I'd really like some fall-like weather, and that's going to come, that fall feel. This summer, we're holding on to this, and we're going. I actually think Sunday there's a very, very good chance that that's going to be our last day in the 80s. We're going to start to turn next week, 70s, and then mid to upper 60s, still getting sunshine. But kind of want to hang on to this because, so today is September 27th. If we move ahead to October 27th, which is just 1 month away, the average high temperature is in the upper 40s to 50. So if we just kind of go back down to what the average is, it's going to be about 35 degrees cooler in a month for a high temperature.
Wow.
Now, there's obviously no guarantee. We could still be above normal.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in the 80s. We're not going to be in the 70s toward the end of October. So hang on to this while you can, for sure.
Embrace it.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I kind of forget what I was going to say there. I had something, things just run. Race. It's like a hamster wheel, just always going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just, all right, I'm going to let Russ go with this.
WrestleMania.
That thing.
Yeah, and that also applies to the Leafs.
It does.
Because they would like to wrestle.
Oh my gosh, and right, they do like to wrestle. And they do it quickly. I mean, I think most people out who from this community, have lived in this community for any amount of time, this is the time of year we're starting to see a little bit of that changeover now. Mm-hmm. Over the next 3 weeks, we're really going to see these colors come out. And because it is so, we're expecting to continue to see dry conditions. We're not expecting all of a sudden like a blast of cold wind speeds,
So it's not, we're not just going to fall off this temperature cliff.
Right.
It'll just kind of dip down.
Yeah, and and specifically with the leaves, sometimes we just get shortchanged, right? Because all of a sudden we get this cold blast, and it's like all the leaves fly off the trees and everything. I think that the progression of what we're going to see is going to lend itself to a very nice fall color season here over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Well, is it time for our picks then, Russ?
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm always up for that.
We both started, the whole office decided that the Cowboys were going to beat the Giants, and everybody, literally everybody, 1-0. And I think that's the first time we've had a clean sweep across the office where everyone said, this is what's going to happen. But it's also interesting because we talked about that one, and Devin and I talked about it too, where it was tempting to pick the Giants there, and the Giants did almost win that game.
Right. And we talked about at the beginning of the season how horrible the Giants are, and they actually did win last week. Of course, got off their schneid there. And what was funny is looking last night before the game ended. I was kind of looking at it. It hit me, and I knew this, but I didn't really think about it until it was like both teams coming into the game are 1-2. So after 3 games, the Giants were tied with the Cowboys for a record, and I thought even in 3 games in, there's no way at that point like the Giants are going to be in the rearview mirror. And
a lot of people thought they might be the worst team in football this year.
And a lot of people thought Dallas might be good.
Yeah, so still a lot to learn. Now, New Orleans visiting your Atlanta Falcons.
Yes. I went with Atlanta. I think it's a close game. New Orleans kind of has Atlanta's number over the years. It's not that Atlanta never beats them, but they're big rivals. Playing in Atlanta, I think, is going to put, excuse me, I shouldn't be talking apparently, put Atlanta over the top here. But I think it's going to be a very close game. Could go either way, but I'm almost like they're my home team, right? So I'm just kind of hopefully willing it.
You know, I think that Atlanta is honestly starting to get it together. My dad was in Las Vegas a few months ago before the season started. He asked me, is there anything NFL bets on the season that you'd like? And I said, actually, I told them to take Atlanta to win the division.
Oh, nice.
And I think that the Saints have surprised me, but I think that Atlanta, just top to bottom, especially now that Kirk Cousins is starting to look like himself.
Right.
Very good football team, a lot of weapons on offense, and last year had a pretty good defense. Defense still pretty good.
Right.
So I think that the cream will start to rise to the top. The cream, the crop being. I'm like Dr. Dre. That was a good little rhyme there. The Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons, right. I was thinking Cypress Hill there as well. I do want to say this real quick. With the Falcons, 1-2, but my son and I were talking yesterday. The combined record of the teams the Falcons have played so far this year is 8-1. The only loss, Philadelphia, to Atlanta, obviously. So otherwise, the Pittsburgh Steelers 1-3, Philadelphia 1-2, and Kansas City 1-3. So the Falcons have had tough competition.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're still looking okay.
Yeah.
I think Chicago's going to win. I'm just going to pick them every week, but I really do think that this week. I don't think the Rams are just super unhealthy.
Yeah.
If both teams were at full strength, it would be a little different, but Keenan Allen should be back for the Bears too. Fantasy football players, good thing to know.
That is a good thing to know. I also went with Chicago, and again, I'm not a Chicago homer. I didn't grow up there, so that's legit. Obviously, I think they're going to win as well.
Now, Minnesota at Green Bay, one of the toughest games to pick.
It was, but as I told you last week, I learned my lesson. I picked against the Vikings the first 2 weeks. The Vikings won. Last week, I'm like, no more. I picked the Vikings, and they won. So it's a tough game. I'm going with Minnesota until they lose.
I'm going with Minnesota as well. I think that best case scenario for the Packers is their injured quarterback plays.
Right.
That's not a great best case.
Right, exactly.
And then you look at the multiple sacks every single game. We're talking numbers of like 5 and 6 sacks a game, and then interceptions, turnovers. Vikings defense might be the best in the NFL right now.
Oh, they're playing great.
Yeah, and so I think defense gets the job done in Lambeau. And any team that's playing the Packers is my second favorite team.
How about that? It does make sense. I know you're a Bears fan, so I'm certainly pulling for the Vikings in addition to picking the Vikings. Sorry, Packers fans.
A colt is like a small horse, I believe. So the Indianapolis Colts against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, steel is usually part of a horseshoe.
Right.
But don't think that the Colts are going to walk all over the Steelers. The Steelers are going to walk all over the Colts.
How about that? Was nice. I think you're wrong, though. I don't think a colt is a horse. That sounds made up. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game.
Okay, so we agree with that at least. All right, the New York Jets. A jet is like an airplane, but faster and bigger. Okay. I'm going to stop right there. There is, outside of the Denver airport, a very scary, have you seen that? Have you ever flown into Denver?
I've flown into Denver, but I don't, in fact, a lot, but I don't know that.
Terrifying horse.
Interesting.
And it's worth a Google. The horse is, some people say haunted. There's a weird backstory to it. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to do this, but I am taking the Jets.
The horse, by the way, has killed 7 people. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I doubt it's so.
It did kill someone.
Did it?
Yeah, the statue of the horse landed on the guy who made it.
Well.
So now I saved you a Google search, but it's really scary. It has glowing red eyes.
And now I have to stop laughing. I didn't know that was the case. I'm going with the Jets. I honestly didn't know that. I was all laughing at my joke and everything too.
Yeah, that's.
I know.
Crazy how that works sometimes. Philadelphia takes care of business, I think, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Tampa's pretty good. I think that the Buccaneers just not good enough, though.
That's funny. I'm going with Philadelphia as well. I think so far we have every pick the same, and I apologize for that. That's not favorable for you if you have the same picks as
We're
me.
both not doing very well.
That's true.
Justin Betty, 75% of the picks last week. Shout out to Justin.
Absolutely. I think he cleared everyone by 3 games.
Yeah.
No. Same thing. It was a tough one for me because I do think Tampa's good, and I think Tampa's a very good home team. In Philadelphia, this will be their second game on the road, going to New Orleans and then going. So there's a lot of things I think kind of working against Philly. I just think Philly's going to win, I think, because they're a little bit better team.
Cincinnati against Carolina. I really wanted to go with Carolina here, but I wound up going Cincinnati.
Okay. Our first difference, I went Carolina here, and it was one of those deals where it's almost like throwing a dart, and whoever it hit, I picked.
Yeah, Cincinnati, a tough situation where they have a short week.
Right.
Carolina riding some momentum. So,
yeah.
Andy Dalton revenge game. We'll see. Houston Texans hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are a team in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Houston, I think, pretty good. Maybe one of the best teams in the AFC. I went with the Texans for that reason.
You say I didn't have to spend a lot of time thinking about this one. I actually like Jacksonville's organization. I really do. But Houston, I'm a big C.J. Stroud fan as well. He's a quarterback
playing well.
All 3 of my fantasy football teams. So,
okay.
So I'm going with Houston in this one.
Arizona Cardinals against the Washington Commanders. I went with the Cardinals. Tough game to pick.
I agree with you on both counts. I did go with the Cardinals. I think Washington. I mean, Washington is. I didn't think they'd be 2-1. I'll be honest with you at this point. They are right. Washington's 2-1.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they are. But I know it sounds like I'm making it up because it's the Commanders. But I'm
You're
pretty
saying
sure
that, but
true.
I have a hard time believing it.
Yes, Russ, they're 2-1. Yeah, I went with Arizona in this one.
Las Vegas Raiders hosting the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is some new information. Devontae Adams has been ruled out. I don't know how much of a difference that would make. Either way, I got Cleveland.
You have Cleveland either way. Interesting. I've got Las Vegas. I know what happened last week with Carolina. I do think Las Vegas steps up and wins this game.
Okay. Good to get some divergence there. The Kansas City Chiefs visiting the LA Chargers. Not looking great for Justin Herbert as far as his probability to play.
Yeah. And yet, once again, I went with the Chargers.
You're a madman. I went with the Chiefs for all the obvious reasons.
And I went with the Chargers for none of. No, I kind of feel it's the same sort of scenario. It's not necessarily a short week for Kansas City. They did play Sunday night in Atlanta. Now then they've got to fly other side of the country and play. It's more a logistics thing for me. I think Kansas City. Not that they're playing bad. I think they're kind of begging to lose a game almost, if that makes sense. And I think despite all the odds, I think this week. By the way, I don't even know who is Herbert's backup.
Tyler Heineke. They still do have Easton Stick, NDSU legend Easton Stick.
Yes.
But I believe it would be Heineke next in line.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stick with the Chargers.
Now, the Baltimore Ravens, named after Edgar Allan Poe.
Right.
Pretty cool. The Buffalo Bills, named after my dad, Bill.
Yes.
So, not true.
Yes.
But his name is Bill, but the team's not named after him.
Oh. This is the 3rd week you've told me, and it's the first time you told me you were kidding.
Oh.
I just assumed.
Well.
Okay. Well, this is weird.
I went with the Ravens.
I got it. Before I give you my pick, you mentioned the Ravens named for Edgar Allan Poe, and I don't know if you know this, but Edgar Allan Poe was named after the Po' Boy sandwich. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. I think I saw that in Back to the Future 5.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of the correlation there. Who knew that a raven was connected to the Po' Boy sandwich via Edgar Allan Poe? I took the Ravens.
All right, Miami. You know, it's like if you had a car that was just one piece away from being a great car, but that piece missing is the steering wheel.
Got it. Yes.
And that's what Miami is right now, where they do not have a quarterback. Snoop Huntley might play. Tim Boyle, who has a combined 5 passing touchdowns in his college and pro career.
Yeah.
And somehow this guy has a job. I think I could be just as good as Tim Boyle with those stats,
Right.
as long as I have good receivers and a good offensive line. But no, for those reasons, I think that Miami, like if Tua was healthy or they had, let's say, Russell Wilson magically or some sort of system quarterback, they'd be able to easily take care of the pretty mediocre, maybe bad Titans.
Yeah.
But the pretty mediocre, bad Titans are going to be much better than the horrible Dolphins.
I like that.
And so I got the Titans.
And I want to say, just like you, almost the same analogy I've been telling everybody, a little different. The Miami Dolphins are like a great surgeon minus the mask thingy that they have to wear. So,
okay.
so, and for the same reasons you said, only my better analogy, Tennessee will beat Miami.
Okay, now last one in a very old rival when you go to talk about birds and cats, Sylvester and Tweety.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So similar matchup here when you're talking about the Detroit Lions against the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. I gotcha. I hear what you're saying. I think this is, it's a Monday night, which is great. It's always a.
It's a much more watchable game than the other one.
I was going to say, I'm sorry I can't change the channel. I'm too locked into Tennessee Miami right now. I want to see what Boyle's going to do. No, I think great game. Seattle's coming in undefeated. Detroit actually has a couple losses, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think Detroit's going to win.
I think so too. Detroit, really good football team. We'll see how it goes. We'll check in on our scores next week. Russ, thank you so much. Go drink some tea, my friend.
I will. I'm sorry, I do have to say this. You skipped over the New England-San Francisco game, and I'm just going to keep it San Francisco.
I'm going San Francisco.
Yeah,
good catch, my friend. We'll get you out there on flag football. Maybe we can make a little run with Russ.
My knee just gave out.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on Valley News Now. This has been the Weekend Funcast.